What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Universal Mastery. Welcome in to my public YouTube channel. Okay, we have a very interesting video that it is that we are going to be discussing today. This is something, once again, that is extremely valuable to understand, especially as it relates to your inner self development process and how you are, evolving as a soul in general. This is one of those things that you are absolutely going to come across that is very important to have a general education on so that you know what's actually taking place and so that you're able to further adapt to a lot of these different shifts and a lot of these different changes that you're going to be noticing as you are growing, as you are evolving, as you are healing. Okay. I am specifically going to be talking about the death and rebirth process today and what that looks like for an individualized soul. If you want to know what that looks like from personal experience and in-depth breakdown on all of these different nuances that are embedded within this process that is at hand, something that you're going to be experiencing, you're going to be going through. This is the essence of Jesus Christ rising from the dead. Okay. The whole principle behind it, not the actual literal story, the principle. Okay. Going through the death phase. What does that look like? What can you expect when you're experiencing those high levels of dense, heavy, negative death energy? And why is it taking place? And what is it designed to do? Is there a metamorphosis that is occurring that maybe you don't even understand yet? Okay, how do you better adapt to it and create a healthy space so that you can further go through this process? This is exactly what it is that I am going to be speaking about and breaking down in very much depth in our today's video. So, if this is something that you are interested in, then I highly recommend that you stay tuned for the rest of this video, and I will see you on the other side. Okay, so here we are. So let's go ahead and let's jump right into our subject that is at hand today. Okay, so we are talking about the death and the rebirth process. What is so interesting about this process and about this death and rebirth cycle? Well, one of the most interesting parts of this entire cycle of self development is the fact that every single person that is listening to this video right now is going to have firsthand experience with this cycle when you are starting to go through these inner developmental processes. So, with that being said, what is it that you can expect when you're going through a lot of that heavy, more so negative and dense energy? And why exactly is that taking place? And then what ultimately is it leading you to in little bits of incremental steps? What is it shifting you into? Okay, so we're going to explain that in this today's video so that you can really understand what this process is all about and how to understand it as it is unfolding in your personal system. Okay, so the death and the rebirth process is something that will happen over and over and over again, literally throughout your entire life. This is something that does not end. It literally continues on for the rest of your existence as a human being incarnate. So, when you are going through the death process, this is a process where you are learning how to dissolve. You are learning how to let go through heaviness. So, there is going to be things like really heavy emotions, heavy, painful sensations on the body, heavy memories that most likely are going to be connected to your past from times that were quite traumatic. You're going to maybe potentially be having nightmares that are taking place when you're trying to go to sleep at night. You're probably not going to be able to get the best sleep that you're used to. You're going to notice there are a lot of challenges that start to manifest themselves almost as obstacles or as adversaries or as some form of general catalyst that then presents itself in your everyday life. And this is all a part of the death phase, the death process of learning how to let go and learning how to feel into and find acceptance for aspects and parts of the self that really need your time and attention to be with them, to nurture them. So, what happens at a nervous system level when there's a lot of death energy present is the nervous system is basically at a point where you have intentioned that you want deeper things inside of your system to start coming to the surface. So then you have these deeper repressed energies that then start moving their way up to the surface of your nervous system. And these deeper repressed energies are going to be largely parts of you that exist inside of you. Once again, from past traumas. So, what ends up happening is these parts of you, these parts are carrying these heavy feelings like fear, sadness, anxiety, abandonment, you name it. It's carrying these emotions, and the death process is allowing those parts of the self to really work their way up to the surface of the nervous system so that they can be seen, so that they can be worked with, and so that they can be integrated. Now, the thing is that a lot of people don't really know this. And a lot of people don't understand this and they don't have this education. So, what happens is a lot of people naturally are going to resort to try to resist these feelings or resist these parts of the self. And what they're going to do is they're going to behave in certain ways that are not authentic to how they actually are feeling. They are going to try to attach to certain ideas or people or circumstances, events, whatever it is, items to try to keep these feelings and these parts of them at bay. Now, once again, these emotions and these parts of the self are now starting to come to the surface, though. Even though if you're trying to get away from it, they're still coming up to the surface. And that is where this big kind of like discord process takes place within the system, where there's kind of like a split taking place. And what it's designed to do is it's designed to create so much pressure and so much heaviness that you have no choice but to go into these repressed energies and be with them and feel them. And because all of this is happening inside of the body and it's at a nervous system level, you're literally going to be manifesting physical circumstances that are actually going to be reflecting what is happening on an internal level. So with the inner split or trying to run away from, you are manifesting events and circumstances that are actually going to be reflections of what's already inside of your nervous system and what's already inside of your body and generally what you're running away from. So it's going to present itself to you as some form of a catalyst to show you that you can't run away from it. It's going to be right in your face and then lead you to eventually going back inwards and realizing these things are rooted on that or are rooted on, I want to say rooted in that inner level. Okay. So this process is a death process because it is literally dying. You are dying to the old aspects, the old patterns, the old behaviors, the old mindsets, the old attachments of the self in that moment. So, in other words, you are dying to the old self, the self that you think might be you in that present moment, but you are actually shedding your skin. Just like a snake sheds its skin, you are dying to those aspects of self that are not actually in alignment with who and what you truly are. And you're doing this through slowly developing an understanding of acceptance for certain types of emotions and sensations within the nervous system and parts of you that need attention. This process is extremely uncomfortable and can be very scary for people to go through, especially if someone doesn't really fully understand exactly what it is that is taking place within their system. So, obviously, having this education that it is that I'm sharing right now can be very helpful to better understand this process so that you can allow yourself to go through it in a much more healthy way and much more integrated way. Because I said the natural response that a lot of people have is they want to resist it. They don't really understand what's taking place. So then what they start doing is they fight against all the challengers and all the obstacles that present themselves rather than understanding that it's their own inner nervous system and the discord inside that is creating the challenges. So it's like you're going to be fighting against catalyst that never ends. It never ends because the root of the catalyst is your own inner energetic state. And we want to understand the catalyst is actually a reflection of what it is that we're in many ways avoiding inside of ourselves. So we want to introspect and go inwards in that way. And as I said, when we do this, it's uncomfortable, it's heavy because we have to be with these wounded parts of ourself, these repressed negative emotions that are in our system, from the past. We have to be with them. That's all you have to do. You have to give yourself time and energy to be with these things and find acceptance to feel these things. Being with these things allows you to start integrating them into your system in a much more healthy way. And that is something that is absolutely going to be very valuable and very important. So, as you are developing that acceptance through the death phase, okay, what is also going to be occurring is you are going to be slowly and surely changing your energetic resonance. So, in other words, when you're developing the acceptance for self and able to start working with those repressed energies, you are healing those parts of self. You are processing and integrating those repressed energies into the present moment, into the entire system, the central system. So this is drastically starting to change your energetic resonance on a external level. So what's going on inside always is going to be what's happening outside. So you can expect certain environments to shift, relationships to shift, work and work jobs that you work. Those things are going to inherently start shifting and start changing because of your new energetic resonance that you are starting to develop. So that is also a part of the death phase. As you're going through the inner death of shedding, you are then seeing externally things are also changing because you're no longer in resonance with certain things. That is another aspect that sometimes a lot of people get afraid of. Okay. This is the death process. And if you're really sensitive to these types of energies, you're going to also be able to notice certain symbolism manifest itself that will show you that you are in a death phase. So you will literally start to manifest certain animals that have associations with death. You might see like a lot of crows. You might see like a lot of vultures. You might come across like black snakes that are like shedding their skin. You know, things in that nature. These are all, animalistic symbols that can represent death. You might start seeing a lot of skulls, like you're just driving on the highway and then someone's got a big sticker on the back of their window and it's a big skull. You might meet someone, they're wearing this big skull ring and they go to shake your hand. These are little symbols that are presenting themselves that are reflecting the inner process that you're in, which is the death phase. Okay. So pay attention to these types of things because nature is always communicating to us through us. All right. So the next thing that it is that we want to understand is that the death phase always leads to a rebirth. So when there is death, there is always a rebirth that occurs. So there is no such thing as a negative or a bad death. Death is extremely powerful and it's extremely valuable. And as I said, it always leads us to a deeper rebirth. So, with that being said, we want to start allowing ourselves to really flow with death, knowing that there is a new aspect of self that is starting to born itself. This is where the rebirth is coming into play. You are literally borning yourself, birthing yourself into a new aspect of what it means to be you. Okay. So, with that being said, what does this actually look like practically? So, when you are healing these deeper repressed parts of self, these, you know, negative, uh, heavy negative emotions in the system, a lot of this is connected to parts of your inner child. So this is during the childhood stages, all the way from being a baby, little baby, just born, all the way up until like your teenage years. See, a lot of us go through a significant brunt end of trauma during these years that then manifests kind of like the traumatic theme of our life carrying on. So, in other words, like you might be 30 years old and you're experiencing these traumas kind of cycling. And a lot of the times, the roots of that cyclical trauma that you're experiencing is actually in those childhood years. So when we go back there and when we start to heal those wounds, we start to change the cycles and are no longer in resonance to keep experiencing that over and over and over again, which is a very good thing. It's a very healthy thing. So, with that being said, what we need to work with and what we need to understand is that when we are healing these parts of the self that largely are connected to wounded inner child parts, we are then bringing online these beautiful qualities of the inner child within our nervous system. And see, what a lot of people don't understand is that the inner child is a very strong connectedness. The inner child has a very strong connectedness to the source consciousness. So children are some of the most pure beings because largely they have not gone through life enough yet to go through a whole bunch of different traumas that then kind of shell them down and make them forget about who and what they actually are. You know, you think of a child just being a child and just expressing the way they express, being the way they be, they're not really thinking twice about it. Okay. Whereas as adults, we think about what is this person going to think? I need to do this because I'm trying to get approval. I can't say this. I shouldn't feel this. This is bad if I feel this. Like we have all these different things that prevent us from being able to be authentic. So, with that being said, when we are integrating and healing the inner child within our own self, we are accessing more of those pure source qualities within our nervous system. So this is going to be connected to states of regulation and safety within the nervous system, which generally means you have a sense of unconditional love that radiates for yourself and the world around you. You feel connected, socially connected to other people, and that you want to socially connect with other people. Like there's just this urge or this feeling in you that wants to do these things. You feel a state of being present, like you're actually in the present moment. You're able to listen and you're able to hear things in that present moment. Okay. It also comes with, uh, being able to express yourself freely, like openly just expressing how you feel in a way that's just feels good. It feels liberating. So these are all little things that are extremely valuable and important to integrate. And when you start to access these qualities in your present moment because you're healing, you are accessing a whole new version of yourself because you're now an adult who's been through all that trauma and has the wisdom and the knowledge and the experience of what life has to offer. And now you're reintegrating this aspect of yourself that is able to just be a free spirit again, a liberated consciousness where you can literally change your energetic resonance to such a degree that everything you want and everything you need starts getting attracted to you effortlessly because your soul carries desire inside of it. And it carries not only desire, but it carries what you truly need to further develop. And when you access that ability to step into the, inner child state of self and access those benefits of the inner child, you are then magnetizing everything to you because there's a strong heart space within the system that opens up like an energy center, and also within, the nervous system clears itself to such a degree where this heart space energy really opens up, and you start coming from a different place in life. You start communicating from a different place. You start seeing things from a different perspective. You literally change as a person. And this is what the rebirth is. This is what the rebirth looks like. So you might go from a space where your old self sees things as completely separated, sees things as I got to conquer other people or I'm going to get conquered, sees things as I don't want to be around other people at all. Like I'd rather just be with myself. Like that might be where you're coming from, and that might be what you were used to. And then as you're going through these heavy, heavy death processes, then you're having rebirths into new aspects of self where that inner child beauty starts to come online. And you're like, wow, I want to talk to people. And I haven't felt that before. I actually can see what other people are going through, and I can see they're struggling. And there's a part of me that actually wants to somehow support them with what they're experiencing. Wow, I haven't experienced that before. Wow, I'm starting to, you know, have an outlook on life that things are just always okay and things are always safe and working out. And I've never felt that way before. What is happening? So, this is what you can expect when you're going through heavy death processes and experiencing bouts of rebirth. Now, this is not something that you go through that it's just like you go through one big, you go through one death process and then boom, you're this completely different person where your entire outlook is this new way. It is a continual ebb and a flow between death and rebirth that has to take place, that then gets you to a point where you can really embody and really step into that rebirth state where it actually become accessible within your nervous system, where you can literally like, enter into it almost consciously. Like it actually becomes a pathway, a neural pathway that you can just shift into. But it takes a lot of death and a lot of bouts of rebirth and a lot of death and a lot of bouts of rebirth to gain that neural pathway, to be able to access that, because this is what real enlightenment is. When people talk about the philosopher's stone, when they talk about accomplishing the great work, when they talk about enlightenment, this is literally the scientific, practical, psychological based, emotional based education on what real enlightenment actually is and what it looks like, and why we have to go through this process to gain more access to this more free flowing, enlightened, regulated state. Okay, so it takes time and it takes commitment, but it is something you will experience in bouts. And when you see that part of yourself come through, you can really lean into it. So that new aspect of you might feel good. It might genuinely feel happy. It might genuinely feel joy. And allowing yourself to feel that way and to choose to enter into that neural pathway helps you to reshape your nervous system into that aspect of your new self. And then there are going to be moments where you're going through life and different layers open up of trauma, different layers of repressed energy start to open up, because the more you're expanding your capacity by going through these death and rebirth processes, the more room you have to face heavier, denser things inside of yourself that maybe previously you weren't ready to do. So as your capacity increases, new layers open up, and it might require you to go back into that death process again, where you get heavy again. You feel those negative repressed energies again. You're starting to face aspects of your old self again, and you're starting to see them again, and you're starting to work with them and navigate with those energies. But this time around, you're able to do it from a place of much more acceptance and much more understanding of what's actually going on inside of your system. So you're giving yourself that time to go into that density, into that heaviness, into that darker negative energy. And as you're developing that acceptance to go into those things and working with it and integrating it to your best ability, then it's healing a lot of those deeper wounds, and it's integrating and it's processing a lot of those deeper wounds, which then is going to put you in a position where you're going to have another rebirth take place. And it's going to be even more powerful and it's going to be even stronger than what you were used to before. And you're going to have much more access to that neural pathway again, to that uh, liberating, inner child state that has that connected consciousness to all things and source. Okay. And once again, that's going to change your energy field and your resonance again in a very significant and in a very powerful way. So it's an ebb and a flow, and understanding this ebb and flow can be very important for you as the practitioner, or as the person, the student to life. Because if you don't really understand, or you don't know what's going on, it's really easy to get confused, and it's really easy to fall into, unhealthy attachments or coping mechanisms that end up hindering this process and not allowing this process to fully unfold the way that's trying to. So that's the other component to this whole thing. What do you want to do to support the process? You want a healthy foundation. Okay, support yourself by providing yourself safety for your nervous system. Look at your unhealthy coping mechanisms, wean off of those, introduce healthy ones. Look at your relationships. If you're in very extremely toxic relationships, whether it's intimate partnerships, family relationships, or friendships, you got to start pulling away from things that are extremely toxic, that are not supporting the soul development process. If you're with people that are not supporting your soul's development, and they're not on that path either, then a lot of the times you have to be aware of that if there's toxic behavior patterns. Okay. If you're with someone that's not really on this soul development path, and they're not harmful to you, then that's wonderful. But if they are, that's oftentimes a red flag, and you need to create a boundary with that to provide that safety for your nervous system. Because the last thing you want going through these processes is someone that is reflecting an abuser from your past and is still trying and intending to abuse you. Okay. And the way that you really want it is, you want to attract people that are growing and healing with you, that sometimes can reflect abusers from your past, but their intentions are not bad towards you. So they provide you a healthier shadow to look at, so that you can work with that shadow and integrate it in a more uh, regulated type of way. So addressing these things, as I said, absolutely becomes essential, and is one of the most important things that you could do. Is literally one of the most important things that you can do. And of course, understanding the education of feeling sensations and feeling emotions. That's also a part of the foundation. With that being said, though, ladies and gentlemen, this is the death and the rebirth process. This is literally the whole thing that I just broke down today, is literally what the whole Christ consciousness is about. So the real essence of Jesus dying on the cross and then rising again to be reborn is this entire process that it is that I just described. So take away all the misconfusion of, how it's, Jesus was portrayed in the Bible, etc., and how that story says it. This was the process. This is the real stepping into that source Christ consciousness, by going through death and going through rebirth over and over and over and over again, until literally a new you emerges. And it literally will happen. I am a testament to this. There are aspects of me that are existing in my nervous system that are starting to present themselves and come through, that I do have a neural pathway with. I can literally enter into that energy that is this like liberated, free inner child energy. And I can run with that, and I can be with that, and it feels good. But I'm also aware that sometimes, even though I have access to that energy, new layers open up, and it requires me to go back into my old self, or go back into my shadow, to start working through some of those deeper wounds that were connected to it, and start going deeper and digging and processing those things, so that then I can gain even more access to that inner child liberated state. And it's just this ebb and a flow process. And right now in my personal life, I am going through a significant Saturn return, and Saturn is sitting right on top of my Saturn right now. And my Saturn return's actually about to end pretty soon here, in a couple months. And there's a lot of things that are manifesting in my life right now that are presenting themselves as challenges, or as heavy heavy energies, I should say, reflections of my shadow, reflections of my old self. And it's nothing that I can't experience and go through. I have a lot of education, I have a lot of understanding, and I'm allowing myself to flow with the energies, but it's not easy and it's really dense and it's really heavy. And after having experienced, you know, opening up, these aspects of myself that feel more liberated and feel more free and feel more connected, and then going through a new layer of heaviness, sometimes it's a little bit frustrating and it's a little bit, you know, confusing. It's like, why do I have to go back into the depths of my shadow? Why do I have to go back into these repressed emotions and integrate them and heal them and process them? And it's because you want to heal. I want to heal at the deepest layers that I possibly can because I want to live a life that I know I'm capable of living. And that's what it's going to require. And once again, the more you can kind of understand the process, the more you can understand what's going on with your nervous system, and the more you can allow yourself to ebb and flow with it with acceptance, that is going to be the key. That is going to allow you to really go through this process in a very powerful way. So, that is exactly what it is that I wanted to communicate in this today's video. If you got value from this, hit the thumbs up button. That lets me know that you actually learned something very significant and very deep from this subject at hand. And I would love to hear your perspective. So drop in the comment section. Let me know your perspective. Let me know if you're resonating with what it is that I'm talking about. Let me know if this video specifically spoke to you on a deeper level to help you better navigate these situations that are taking place. Also, hit the notification bell. Get notified whenever I post because I'm literally posting every other day and you don't want to be missing out. Hit the subscribe button. Okay, subscribe to my YouTube channel because by subscribing, you are further linking in energetically to everything it is that I am doing. So take advantage of that. Subscribe to my channel. Okay. Also, I encourage you to copy and paste this link and send it to someone that you feel like might be going through this process right now. Okay. That is my little encouragement for you. If someone comes to your mind, even intuitively, copy and paste this video and send it over to that person. Okay. That would be doing them a favor, doing you a favor, and doing me a favor. Okay. Now I'm going to take your awareness to literally the most important link within the entirety of my YouTube description itself. This is the first link. This is going to be my Patreon. And on my Patreon, I have over 260 exclusive videos only for Patreon members. Okay. I have put a lot of time and energy into developing the content on Patreon, all the way from deep degrees of occult education, ritualistic practices that I perform on camera and teach you how to do, initiation education, education on the nervous system and creating a healthy foundation for yourself, also covering things that are important in regards to trauma. Okay. I have all of these different things that are neatly organized in different collection sections. So I highly encourage you, if you are someone that studies from my YouTube channel and you are consistent with watching my videos to gain deeper awareness on what's going on with your process, if you're not yet a part of the Patreon, get over to the Patreon. Okay. The Patreon is so valuable. So definitely take advantage of it. And I'm continuously uploading videos to the Patreon, and I'm going to be doing this literally for a very long time. So take advantage of this exclusive content. All right. Now, tier 3 and 4 is extremely unique. This is a ritualistic service that I offer for my collective consciousness. And this is specifically called the Universe B Vampire Service. So, this is a ritual service that is designed for people that are willing to go through the deeper processes of emotional integration and working with their unconscious, and it's designed for people that are also a little bit more in resonance with some of the darker aspects of spiritual development itself. So, some of the more demonic aspects of this process. If this is you, if you're someone that's in resonance with that, then this service very likely could be exactly what you want. This is an energetic transfer from me to you to help you help support you through your process of going into these things. Because on a personal level, I've gone through a lot of these different transformations and a lot of these different initiations. My energetic field carries that information and experience, and I can ritualistically transfer my energy field into you as a member, a participant, to literally bring you through a process of deep integration while supporting you energetically through it. Okay. Very powerful service. I also caused some significant changes to the energy field of the participants as well to be much more magnetic. That's the vampiric component. And what we're doing is we're setting the stage so that we can start pulling energies from dark energy and chaos, which is patterns that we don't fully understand yet, and we're making it much more easy for us to integrate and work with these darker repressed energies. So it can get to the point where your energetic resonance has this extremely magnetizing quality, and you're pulling in this darker energy or this chaos energy from around you, which could manifest as someone's false self attachment. So you can come across someone that is identified with their false self, and you can pull that right out of their system, turn it into your own energetic power and potential and authenticity, and then leave that person in a position where they now have to look at themselves and they have to face themselves and they have to understand who and what they really are. And then that is a very valuable thing because then that allows them to heal and you get the energy that was built up from the false self and you can turn it into your potential. So it's a win-win situation. And that's what it's designed to do. That's what it means to do healthy vampirism from a space of understanding the connectedness of all things and all beings. So there are over 350 members that actively take advantage of this service every single month, and it's performed on the 29th of the month. So the deadline to sign up is always going to be the day before. So if you sign up at any point throughout the month, you're going to be good to go. And if you want to do more education on this vampire ritual, go into my YouTube playlist and you're going to see a vampire playlist. Check that out. All right. So with that being said, definitely look into it. That is the first link in the YouTube description. We're going to leave it there. Second link is going to be where you can book one-on-one calls with me, or it is where you can book mentorships. Mentorships are literally going to be the most intimate way to personally work with me. We're going to be working deeply together, developing a healthy foundation for you to help you start regulating your nervous system and setting the stage for you to be able to start processing these deeper traumas that exist within your system. It is very, very valuable. Okay. And there's a ton of people that I am currently doing mentorships with right now. And every single person that I work with, I very deeply appreciate. And I'm watching people's lives drastically shift right in front of me. So if that is something that you resonate with, definitely consider taking advantage of the mentorships. Okay. In the same second link, you have an option to book a tarot card reading with Alexia. She is a very gifted tarot card reader, and she can literally tell you what's going on internally and what you need to know in the present moment, and then what to expect into your near future from a self development perspective to understand what is going on with these internal shifts and these internal changes that you're going through, and how do you better navigate them to understand what's taking place. Now, Alexia can also connect these different cards back to the Kabbalistic tree to also give you some perspective from the Kabbalistic lens. Okay, very valuable reading. Tons of people are starting to book with her, and she's getting a lot of really good feedback. So definitely look into it. That is also the second link below. The third link below is the Lucifers Foundation course. This is a very significant and powerful course, and it gives you everything you need to know in a step-by-step fashion to develop a powerful and healthy relationship with the energy that is known as Lucifer. So if you are interested in that, I highly recommend that you take advantage. It is the third link below. Tons of people have purchased it, like a lot of people, and people are buying it all the time still. So if you want to take advantage of it, it is the third link below. Fourth link is the YouTube memberships. I would love to have you as a YouTube member, as a part of the family. Okay, that's really what it ends up becoming. So if you want to join into the YouTube Universal Masteries family, I would love to have you there. And then whenever I do live streams, I see you appear with your green name. I give you special shout outs, etc. So definitely check that out if you're interested. I would love to have you. And then the fifth link is the book recommendations that I have for you. This is also very, very valuable because these, so at that fifth link, it is giving you access to a 4 ebook bundle of books that are going to be extremely important for your self development, working with some of these occult energies. These are fundamental tools that you will be able to utilize throughout your entire spiritual process, literally for years on end. I have the physical copies of the books right now that we've both worked on, me and Nick McCool from Cosmic Observer. And there's just so much valuable information in all of these books. Okay. So if that's something that you're interested in, definitely check out that fifth link below and make the purchase. All right. So, with that being said, this is going to wrap it up. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you all have an amazing rest of the day or night, wherever you are. And I will see you in the next video. Peace.